Welcome to the Growth Junction, the podcast where we dive deep into Bitcoin, crypto, Web3, DeFi, and so on by speaking to industry leaders who are shaping the space. I'm Dennis, your host. I've been into crypto for 2.5 cycles and have definitely felt the anxiety of the highs and lows in my wallets. Before this, I worked for multiple marketing agencies, one of them being a top Web3 agency. Today, I am thrilled to have Yuriy, the last name Myronovych, co-founder of Raven Dao, a cutting-edge proprietary trading firm revolutionizing the space. With a deep background in DeFi and software architecture, Yuriy has helped position Raven Dao as a leader in HFT, so high-frequency trading, and DeFi liquidity provision. The mission is to create fair and efficient crypto markets and is backed by a powerhouse team and a recent 2.7 million seed round. Right, let's dive into Yuriy's journey. And welcome to the show, Yuriy. And please take a few moments to introduce yourself and a little bit of your background.
Thank you. Very interesting to be here. Then in regards to my background, unlike a lot of people in trading, actually, I came not from trading background, but from pure software engineering background, which gives me a slightly different take on everything that's going on in high frequency trading and in DeFi as well. Have been doing quite a bit of DeFi even before I joined trading. We tried to do trading first with friends even before doing it professionally, which was also very interesting experience of learning everything on our own mistakes. And from there went to Wintermute, was one of the first employees at Wintermute, saw the growth from 0 to 100, and a few years later I moved on to co-found our own high frequency trading company with my good friend, and I think at the moment we are running for 3 years quite successfully and happy where we are.
Awesome. So this concept of HFT, high frequency trading, what can you please explain? Obviously, high frequency trading says itself, but can you please explain what it is and why it is powerful?
Now, the main difference between normal trading and high frequency trading is obviously the number of trades you do in a short period of time. Where, for example, in normal trading, it's quite common to do at best one trade a minute, even with automated strategies. Where in high frequency trading, everything is measured in milliseconds. In 1 second, you can have thousands of trades. It's just very different perspective at the situation because you can't really do anything manually. You can't even look at the trades much manually because you have so many of them. You need some sort of fully automated way, absolutely everywhere in the system to even to see what's going on out there in real time. Where in any sort of hedge funds, you would normally look at everything manually first. You would see what the trades are, maybe you evaluate them somehow, but it is possible to evaluate it just by looking, where in HFT, everything has to be coded.
Interesting. So is this mainly for institutions or also for just everyday people like me?
It is mainly for institutions just because the cost of running high frequency trading architecture is absolutely ridiculous. And that's the reason why many companies, the smaller companies, tend to go for slower strategies that are much easier to work with. We do see every now and then individuals trying to compete on high frequency trading. However, they are severely limited, where they would only trade, for example, one market or only one exchange, looking for very specific events that would trigger their strategies to step in. So they wouldn't be trading 24/7. They wouldn't be trading 20 exchanges like we do. They wouldn't be trading hundreds of coins. They would only focus on a very, very specific thing that they can manage to capture.
Yeah.
But even that is very rare, because even in that scenario, you still need to have quite a lot of infrastructure.
As you mentioned, you worked for Wintermute, and after that, you've co-founded Raven Dao. What was there a pivotal moment in your journey that sparked your passion for DeFi and convinced you to take the leap into becoming a founder and an entrepreneur?
That's actually a very, very interesting story how it came to be, because at Wintermute, when I was leaving, I was head of DeFi and pretty much looking after everything DeFi related. Mm. However, Wintermute was moving very deeply into um, very TradFi direction and very enterprise-like setup, which is absolutely fair because it's a very large company and that's pretty much the only way for company to grow. However, I felt more like still staying in the startup environment and experimenting more. Mm. That was the prime reason why I decided to move on. However, I really wanted to take a longer break when I moved on. And the plan was to just sit for half a year, do nothing, and catch up on my Dota skills. But unfortunately, after I started playing Dota, I realized that market making and high frequency trading is much easier than leveling up your rank in Dota. So I went back to it.
Right. So the break was cut short. How long was your break then?
Well, the break was pretty much 1 month's break, and from there I already started experimenting with different things myself personally. We didn't really set it up as a company or anything until 1 year has passed since the leave. But instead of gaming, I was already poking the code, even though just for personal interest.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah, that's funny indeed. So
Yeah.
the brand name Raven, like ravens are very smart birds and intelligent birds, and can adapt very well. So how did you land on this brand identity, and what does it say about the mission?
So you're correct about Raven as a bird. They are known to be very intelligent, very smart, and very quick to react to anything that's going on around them in the environment. And we just wanted to capture that feeling and to highlight it in the company that that's what needed for anyone in high frequency trading to succeed. Because at the end of the day, it is a very competitive environment, even though there are more traded instruments. In some way there are more traded instruments in spot in crypto than there are in traditional finance. But a trader with a very well executed strategy would normally capture a very large share of the market. You would have very little fragmentation in the space and very little space for new players. So you have to be very good if you want to stay in this area or be able to do something, just because the nature of the space where winners take majority of the profit, majority of the market, and very little is left for anyone else.
Yeah, yeah. Hence the adaptability. So yeah, I believe it's not a big percentage that stay profitable in the long run, right?
No, not a big. Even if you look at the number of companies who consistently trade all the assets, it would probably be 5 to 10 companies in the world.
5 to 10 companies in the world.
From
That's
from well-known high-frequency trading
yeah.
companies who trade all top 50 coins.
Wow. Okay. That's not so many.
No, it's not so many, but yeah, for exactly the same reasons that once you do it very well, it's not very easy for others to compete, and because cost
Hmm.
of infrastructure is very high.
Right. Right. So you serve like DeFi protocols, centralized exchanges, right? What's one thing you wish your clients understood better about the value Raven Dao brings to their ecosystems?
I can even expand the question. One thing I would wish clients understand better about market making is that any reputable market makers are not looking to rip the clients off. I don't know why, but in the past years, there is a common misconception that market makers are the evil players who just try to extract money from the system while not giving anything back in return. And that's obviously there are bad actors and bad players, and probably that's why that misconception came to be. But most of the reputable companies care more about their reputation than trying to scam someone.
That's a misconception I've had or have maybe. I mean, you hear of the market makers, they come up to a certain price to get the liquidity, to fake everybody out and then go down, for example.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the situation is that market makers are obligated to quote in the market both sides, buy and sell at all time. And a lot of people might be surprised to find out that when market is going, let's say, when someone is very long Bitcoin, market is going down, it might be as painful for market makers as it is for retail clients, just because market makers have an obligation to be in the market, whether they like it or not. Where for anyone else, they have a choice to move out and come back the other day. Where for us, we have to be there even if environment is unfavorable to us, or for example, something changed in the market and our strategies are not capturing the edge as they used to for this specific few hours, we still have to be in the market.
All right. So yeah, their strategies reflect that need then, I guess. So your cross blockchain expertise opens up more possibilities, I think. So are there any new markets or technologies like layer two solutions or AI-driven trading that you are eyeing for expansion?
So AI is definitely interesting in terms of working with the data and processing the data. In the past, people would invest a lot in machine learning and all sort of statistical analysis systems to find the edge in the data, where now you have even more generic solution than that in a way of AI, where you can feed him a bunch of unstructured data and you can still get some summary from there, or maybe find some patterns. So that's something definitely interesting that's coming up, which, but again, requires a lot of time and investment to get it right and to get it well. But I think that's what will be the important considerations for any institutional traders going forward, how they can leverage AI to improve their trading systems.
Yeah, AI is changing everything at the moment, and it's very interesting to see where this will lead us. But I think it's a good path in the long term, although it's very uncertain and can be scary at times even. So I guess you're always looking for new and strategic partnerships. What kind of collaboration would get you most excited for Raven DAO's future? Is it with protocols, investors, or tech innovators?
It's probably always with the new protocols, especially for me personally, coming from DeFi background. There is a lot of areas where DeFi and on-chain trading still lags a lot behind centralized exchanges. Um, as much as people like to say that centralized exchanges have a lot of risk while holding your funds there, while trading there, all potential issues with KYC, KB, and so on. However, for anyone who is trading a little bit more, CeFi is definitely a lot more welcoming place to trade than DeFi is. Because if something goes wrong on the DeFi, there is no one to help you. Let's say you misconfigure your transaction and you get sandwiched and you lose 99% of your transaction. When the only thing you wanted to do is swap USDC for USDT or something silly.
Mm.
And that's it. It's over. Nothing. No one will help you. Your money are gone. And generally, the trading experience is also better on CeFi. And anyway, back to original question. From there, what we are the most interested in is working together with new protocols launching on chain to make the whole experience much better on DeFi, so that it can actually compete with centralized exchanges, so that it can compete with traditional finance. But that requires a whole bunch of new protocol, new ideas, new innovations. For example, all spot trading on chain relies on Uniswap or Uniswap clones, any sort of IMMs, which what most people probably don't know, the whole IMM trading is the old concept from, I think, 70s or something in traditional finance trading and in market making. It's definitely not a new concept, but that's the only one that is currently ported to DeFi for on-chain. But there has to be a lot more advancement in that direction to fully compete. And we would really love to see that.
Yeah, awesome. So what trends are you currently seeing in the market, and are these trends making it easier or maybe even worse or harder for you to operate?
Well, what we see is a lot of derivatives volume is moving on chain. People are trying to launch new perpetual future exchanges on chain to compete with large CeFi players. Um, and that one they are doing quite successfully because they tend to get order books off chain. So order books are still centralized on their servers, and only settlement is on chain, which means your funds are safe and secure because everything's settled on chain. Only the trading is as fast as it can be because of off-chain order book and matching, which is very good direction and actually allows them to compete with large exchanges like Bybit or Binance. So that part they are doing well, and that part might actually help the system to grow.
Mhm, mhm. And what's the competitive landscape look for you?
You mean for our own trading and market making?
Yes.
It actually looks like there is still a lot of room in the space. Um, you would imagine that after 10 years of crypto existence, the space would already be fully saturated, but that's not the case, especially with so many new products being launched all the time. And not only on DeFi, but also um, even things like gold trading that had a large boost in the past few days in crypto. There are always new things coming in, and there is not enough market makers to support them. So I would
Mm,
say it's definitely not a saturated space yet. There is definitely room. It's still not easy to compete once the competition kicks in, but there is still room to find markets where there might be only one or two market makers, and you would be perfectly fine and won't actually have to compete that much.
yeah. So considering this landscape, what are your goals, your 6 month goals, your 12-month goals and beyond?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because for traders, the goals always stay the same, no matter where you are and no matter at what's the size of your company. The goals always are increase the volume and improve profitability of your trades and launch and support new markets. So
Yeah,
those three goals never change.
yeah. And what about 36 months, 3 years from now, 5 years? It's the same.
Exactly the same, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
New markets, more volume, faster trading, improvements in the architecture of the system, always
Yeah.
the same.
Right. So if you had a magic wand, and you could wave it to make one problem or challenge go away for Raven Dao, what would it be?
Actually, let me answer twice here. For the whole ecosystem, I would wave the wand to try and make all the hacks in the system disappear and make it hack proof in whatever magical way it's possible, because I think that's destroying the system as a whole and all the players there. For Raven specifically, I guess that would be finding smart and nice people to work with, because that's always a challenge in high frequency trading, which is hiring the right people.
Right. So what kind of positions would you be looking for?
So what we always say that we like to hire people to work with, not to hire cogs in the machine to fill in the specific role in the company. I think it's more important to work with people individually and to explore what their strengths are and find out how can we work together rather than filling in a specific role. Because at the end of the day, for an agile and fast moving company, it's not the role that matters, but the people.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your view and your expertise about Raven Dao and high frequency trading. Please let people know where they can find you on Twitter, on any socials, and so on, the website.
Yeah, you can find us on ravendao.net website, and we also have Twitter, which I think we will respond and retweet from your original podcast tweet there.
Yeah, all right. Thanks. And all the links will, of course, be below the video on YouTube, and I will also be posting this. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you got some value from it, you know the deal. Like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you again. And thank you again, Yuriy.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.